My stepmom was the only one to tell me the truth as a child, and I'll always hate her for it. When I was in second or third grade, my dad married a woman, my stepmom. I'll call her Brit. Brit and I never got along, and her and my dad were always fighting about being fair between myself and her sons, my stepbrothers. They always made sure we knew the same amount was spent on each of us every year for Christmas. We were cooked the same food. I remember this because I didn't like poached eggs as a 10-year-old, but Brit refused to make scrambled eggs for me instead. It was all so dumb, and I cringe at their behavior as a 30-year-old adult. I know my dad wasn't a perfect, attentive father, and he only had me every other weekend, but by the time I was in high school, 2010s, I decided to no longer visit on weekends, mainly because of how toxic their marriage was on me and my stepbrothers. I can get over arguments between them. I can get over how they each favored their own kids. But as an adult, I found out that Brit was the most honest BTCH I'd ever meet. In 2004, my grandma died in a car accident, and I wasn't able to attend her funeral because it was out of state. One night, maybe a few weeks or months later, my stepbrothers were at their dad's house. Brit and my dad got into one of their usual fights that I try to ignore by disassociating and watching Drake and Josh, Ben 10 or some other shit. I was doing fine in the back room until I heard Brit call out my name, which was unusual. I started listening into the argument and heard Brit say, "You hear that, op? She didn't die in a car crash, she killed herself." Obviously, she was just being mean to me in order to hurt my dad, so, of course, I didn't believe her. Until a couple years ago. My wife and I were spending a holiday at my aunt's house, and at one point we were talking to my aunt about family and life stuff. Eventually, she said her only regret was not answering the phone the night her mom, my grandma, killed herself. Apparently, I had a good enough poker face because when my wife and I got back to our room, she said, "I thought your grandma died in a car accident." And I replied, "I did too." Once it sunk in that I believed the initial lie for almost 20 years, the anger hit me. The anger that the only person that told me the truth was Brit. The anger that the only reason she told me was to hurt me and my dad. The anger that she would tell such a thing to a kid that wasn't even 10 years old to what? Win a fight? I can't believe they've been married for over 20 years. And I can't believe Brit was the only one to tell me the truth about how my grandma died.